Well, how you doing, everybody? It's Rob from TOL Photography RV Adventures, and welcome to day 4. Well, we're going to do this a little bit different. I have to laugh because my daughter Samantha, who's been basically instrumental in helping us get a lot of our social media set up, when I told her about what had happened on day 4, the first thing out of her mouth was, "Dad, did you not videotape it?" And I'm like, well, if we had like other people or someone else filming it or videoing what was going on that wasn't so emotionally invested as Karen and I were, and even John and Deb were emotionally invested into it too. I mean, here we are, we're pulled over on the side of the highway again. You know what I mean? Like the other day, 24 hours ago, we had to pull over because we blew the heater core. I think we weren't so emotionally invested in it. Maybe, yeah, I might have turned on the camera, but honestly, turning on the camera after pulling over on the side of the road again is like the last thing that's on my mind. So I'm gonna have to talk you guys through what happened, and just bear with me, please. So anyways, we left from the Missouri Welcome Center, and we are on the way. We were basically going to Weatherford. We got, and once again, I want to say thanks again to the guys at the Crump Garage. They were awesome getting us back on the road, doing the bypass. But we got as far as Oklahoma, and we got just outside Oklahoma, and I actually did a little bit of research after the fact to find out where it was where this incident happened, and I found out where it was, and basically they were doing resurfacing of the road at this one particular location. Now the speed limit down here is, roughly around 70 miles per hour, and of course you can't really do that in our RV. We can do a good 60, and that's comfortable, that's good. So I might have been doing maybe 55, 60 some odd going through this area, and it was bumpy. It was bumpy. And after I got through that area, John behind me noticed that my lights on the Jeep, when I broke, weren't working anymore. So luckily enough, he pulled up beside us, he took a look, and he immediately got in front of me, hit the indicator, which tells me that, hey, we all need to go over. So we all pulled over, and I got out and I'm going, hey, what's going on? I thought there was something wrong with him. And he's going, no, man, you got to go back and take a look. I think the umbilical cord from the RV's dragging on the ground. I went, oh no, you can't be serious. So he goes, you've got no lights in the back. You hit your brakes a couple of times and there's nothing happening. So I go back there, and sure enough, the umbilical cord had dropped from the V, because there's actually like a V where the hitch joins onto the Jeep on the left and the right side, and then basically centers, and there's a center column that comes, of course, attaches to the RV. We have the cord strung around that very loosely so that, when you turn and stuff, it's not going to get pinched or anything like that. But it had loosened off, and it fell on the ground, and all of the insulation, all of the wiring, it was stripped right down.
No!
So I'm thinking, oh man, this can't be happening, right? The thing that concerned me the most was the fact that now I have no lights, no backup, not backup lights because you can't back up, but I had no left-right indicators, no flashing, no brakes, and that's illegal. So I can't actually tow the Jeep like that. On top of that, from the location that we are at, we had now maybe about an hour and 5 minutes to go to get to our Harvest Host location. And the way that the sun was going down, I was thinking maybe we had 45 minutes, maybe an hour if we're lucky of sunlight left. And I did not want to drive the vehicle without having the proper lights in the back. So I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to take 20 minutes. I disconnected the cord. I thought I would reattach all of the wires that were basically severed and see if I could attach it back up, and hopefully that would work. Well, I did it, got it all back together, Plugged it in, bupkis, nothing. I'm thinking, okay, great. Maybe we blew a fuse because, the wires were touching or something as it was dragging on the ground. Unfortunately, there was no way I could get to the fuse box because unfortunately the fuse box is on the driver's side. And the driver's side was on the side of the highway, and we were too darn close to the highway for me to pull over, or for me to, go out there and open up the door and start looking through to see if we could find the busted fuse, if there was one. So John offered to drive behind me. We were running out of time. I really didn't want to do it, but we had to get to Weatherford. We had to get to the next Harvest Host location so we could really take a look at what was going on. So I pulled out, John got behind me, and we basically drove the next hour and 5 minutes. We pulled into the Harvest Host location just as the sun was setting, as you can see with the video that we took. And it was just luck of the draw. So when we got there, we basically futzed around with it for about half an hour. I checked the fuse. The fuse wasn't blown. I had no idea what was going on with it. At that time, we had to make the decision that from Weatherford, basically all the way to Mesa, we'd have to disconnect the Jeep, and Karen would have to drive on her own. Well, she wasn't too pleased about that, let me tell you, but we had to, because there was no way that we could safely tow the Jeep behind the RV, and I mean, that was just a ticket waiting to happen. So that's what we did. And what we normally did is we have a pair of walkie-talkies. So although we didn't use it at that moment when John pulled me over, we generally do. And John's got one, I have one, so if there's something going on, we can talk back and forth. But like John said, you know what? When I noticed your lights were going on, I wouldn't even think about getting on the walkie-talkie and talking. I just wanted to get up to you, see what was going on, and to get your behind over. So what we ended up doing is we all pulled out the next day, basically on our way to Tucumcari. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And we did the old conga line. There was John, myself, and then Karen behind us. And we did that for the one day. And after that, we decided that Karen didn't feel comfortable being being the last vehicle. She wanted to be in the middle, and I thought that was a good idea as well. So we gave the walkie-talkie to Karen. John had one, and then I just followed suit with whatever was going on in front of me. But yeah, I can laugh about it now, but when we were on the highway, it was just like, you got to be kidding me, man. This just can't be happening. Day 2, or the second day of a breakdown. It was day number 4 for us. I'm thinking, really? I didn't want to say it, but things come in threes, and I was waiting for the other shoe to drop when we hit the road the next day, but luckily enough, we got lucky. But I have to say, this video that we're doing right now, we're already in Mesa. We've been here for about a week. We've already gone to Page, Arizona to the Balloon Regatta. We've come back, and in that first week that we were here, we actually got lucky once again, and we hooked up with these guys at Autoboss. And Kyle at Autoboss was very informative. And you know what? That's something I want to say. We've been fortunate, and I don't know if it's just luck of the draw, but the mechanics that we've had to deal with here in the U.S. have been very informative, explaining in detail well beyond what really needs to be done. And honestly, I mean, I've been in many shops. I used to be a mechanic myself when I got out of high school, and the way that the guys describe stuff here, in here, like when you're down in the States, is different than what you receive in Canada. And I'm not trying to put Canada down, but I'm going to tell you, the customer service that you receive in the U.S. far exceeds what is being done in Canada. And I wish that Canadian businesses would take a page from what they see from other businesses in the U.S. Dan, I believe is the gentleman from Crump, was instrumental in explaining everything that was going to be going down with respect to the bypass and how it was going to be done and how it would work. Kyle from Autoboss was instrumental in fixing our problem with the 7-pin hitch in the back. Now the problem was the fact that, yes, not only did the actual wires ground out on the ground, it wasn't so much that it was the main fuse that blew, it was the one fuse that runs left right signal and four ways, and the brakes. So that fuse isn't in the same compartment. So outside the driver's side door on a Tiffin Allegro, there is a main fuse for the trailer, um, anything that you're towing. Then there's a secondary fuse for separate wiring that's for your four ways, um, brakes, and indicator lights. And that one is located right beside me on the firewall, right by my left foot, which I had no idea about. So they were able to find that. Um, they replaced the fuse. They plugged in the new harness that we got, and it still didn't work. So he said, regardless of what you would have done on the road, even if you had done the fuse, you still wouldn't have been able to repair what was going on because the actual harness itself was pooched. And I'm wondering, when we actually left from Ontario, we had a problem with the harness, if you remember. Jed, it looks like we're having a little bit of problem with the hookup for the electrical when the indicator lights, brake lights, and four-way lights are going on, talking between the RV and the Jeep. So he's going to take it into the shop, give it a quick once over. I think we're changing over the plugs actually on the Jeep itself, so we're going to be here for maybe another hour. And we were there for at least an extra hour while they got that repaired. And I had not taken or disconnected the harness from the time that we left there until we had this problem just outside of Oklahoma. So, I know that our time frame from the time that we dropped the RV off to get everything done and checked over was short because we were leaving at the end of the weekend. We dropped it off, I believe, on the Thursday. We picked it up on the Monday. And there was a lot going on at the dealership as well. They had the RV show going on. So, there was a limited amount of mechanics that were available. But the guys that did work on it at the RV dealership before we left, they did a great job. Unfortunately, what needed to happen was that harness needed to be rewired or replaced. And that's the one thing that Kyle had explained to me. And he did a great job with going over it with me, showing me what needed to be done, showing me the links in the back, how it all attaches, and I gotta commend him for that, and I gotta commend him for just the overall service. So we ended up having that fixed. We're actually going back there again in 2 more days, and we're actually having the heater core done at Autoboss. These guys, you know what? They're a company that I can trust. And that's something that, rounding this all off is when we travel as Canadians, we travel, we have a lot of money tied up in our RVs, trailers, whatever. And you pull into a shop or a garage and you're always worried that you're going to get ripped off because you're not a regular, you're not a townie. You're always worried about, am I actually going to get told what really is the problem with the RV or with my trailer or with my car or whatever. And I got to tell you, the service that we've gotten so far down here has been unbelievably good. And both of the Crump Garage and the guys at Autoboss, very trustworthy. And I thank my lucky stars that, we've bumped into both of these companies and they've done a great job for us. Excuse me. But we pulled into the park here, and unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why we haven't done any uploading. Is the RV here, or I should say, the internet here at the RV, the complimentary internet that they provide is like, it's really slow. So it took us almost a week to find a company that would be able to provide us with internet service because, unfortunately, when you're not living in the U.S. and you don't have a zip code, it's really hard to get any type of internet service here. But we were lucky. We found Verizon, absolutely phenomenal. And I'll tell you something, the actual internet service that we have and the speed of the internet service here that we have just surpasses what we've got with our internet company in Canada. Wicked fast. So anyways, it's like a little white magic box that we got from Verizon, and you set it on the front dash, plug it in, and the towers that are in the area, it receives the signal. And now we've come back from Page, we just set it up, and we've got like an amazing internet service that we're going to be utilizing for the next little while. So we'll be getting our videos up on time. So that was the big thing that we had to worry about, after, of course, getting someone that we were going to trust, someone that we could trust to actually get the heater cord repair done. So it should be smooth sailing from this point on, and we're looking forward to getting out to a few locations. We've got the Lost Dutchman. We've got a lot of different locations that are going to be coming up over the next little while. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, and definitely hit that notification bell, and that way you'll get updates as to when we upload our next set of videos. So from TOL Photography and RV Adventure, we wish you all the best, and we will see you guys soon. And guys, always try to live your best life. We'll see you again. Bye.